It's happening. Infect is back. Thanks to Final Fantasy, Modern Infect is back on the menu, baby. I have my Modern Infect deck from 2014 here. I've been waiting for this moment for a decade. Infect, let's go! I've got my Might of Old Crosas, I've got my Groundswells, and now, thanks to Final Fantasy, I'm gonna turn 3 Infect kill with ease. And it's all thanks to this brand new card, Tifa Lockheart. Wait, she doesn't have Infect. That girl is not even poisonous. What's going on? Tifa Lockheart is a 2-mana legendary 1/2 with trample and a potent landfall ability. Whenever a land enters, double her power until end of turn. All it takes for Tifa to kill an opponent at 20 life is a pump spell that buffs her power by at least 4 and a fetch land. Seriously, play Tifa on turn 2, then on turn 3 cast the pump spell to bring her power up to 5. Then make a fetch happen. Tifa's power goes up to 10. Go to combat, attack, then crack the fetch to trigger landfall again, doubling her power to a whopping 20 on turn 3. Alright, so Tifa isn't an infect creature, but she might as well be. Or perhaps she's even better. You see, infect creatures have had a hard time keeping up with the current era of modern magic. There are just too many ways to effectively kill cheap creatures for a deck full of tiny little guys and pump spells to cross the finish line, even if the infect mechanic does effectively cut your opponent's life total in half. But Tifa offers something that Infect has never been capable of before. Her landfall ability turns your lands into massive pump effects on their own, meaning you only need a single pump spell to threaten lethal. The recently unbanned Green Sun Zenith means all-in Tifa decks will get to run effectively 8 copies of this powerful 2-drop. Might of Old Crosa, Groundswell, and Scale Up all pump Tifa the requisite amount to start the 1-turn kill, giving you 12 total copies of this effect. Between Noble and Ignoble Hierarch, you've got a full 8 copies of Powerful Dorks that also pump Tifa, both of which allow you to either Green Suns for Tifa on turn 2, or cast her turn 2, and hold up a protection spell like Snakeskin Veil. While we're building this deck, how about 4 copies of Postmortem Lunge to bring Tifa back if she gets removed and threaten lethal out of nowhere? The biggest weakness to Tifa in Modern is that the entire deck is pretty all-in on drawing Tifa, which means you're heavily reliant on drawing either Tifa or Green Sun Zenith in order to kill your opponent. Still, the deck seems very powerful and consistent enough to be a genuine contender in the first few weeks of post-Final Fantasy Modern. But Tifa Lockheart isn't the only card from Final Fantasy that's poised to hit formats like Modern and Pioneer, and thus, in this video, I am going to cover the best new cards from Final Fantasy for non-rotating formats. What powerful cards from Magic's newest set are going to make a huge impact? Let's take a look. But first, have I got some magic up my sleeve? Whoa, it's Magic Spoon! Whoa, sponsor of today's video. You know, whenever I play Magic the Gathering, I feel like a kid again, which is great, but it makes me want to eat all the delicious stuff I ate when I was a kid, like a big bowl of cereal. Fortunately for me, I can eat all, and I do mean all, the delicious, high-protein, zero-sugar cereal I want with Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon is the simple, fueling, high-quality breakfast option that's perfect for former kids. I'm a former kid. From fruity to frosted, cocoa to peanut butter, blueberry muffin to cinnamon toast, all the flavors you loved when you were a child are available. Magic Spoon! That tastes like childhood. Fleeting childhood. But it's back again. And you know, here's the thing about a busy life. I need to eat something that's compact and portable. Something that provides real fuel for my day. That's these Magic Spoon treat bars. They fit the bill precisely. These bars have 11 or 12 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and between 1 to 2 grams of net carbs. And most importantly, they're utterly delicious! So just go to magicspoon.com/Tolarian or use my code Tolarian to get $5 off your order of Magic Spoon. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or at your nearest grocery store. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for the delicious, delicious food. Oh, and for sponsoring this video. Tifa Lockheart isn't the only card from Final Fantasy that's going to make waves in Modern. Let's continue our list with the card that will improve Amulet Titan. We did it, fam! Amulet Titan is finally receiving some love from a recent Magic the Gathering set, Airhorn. Wandering Minstrel is a 1/3 human bard legend for 1 green and 1 blue mana that makes a 2/2 5-color elemental creature token at the beginning of combat if you control 5 or more towns. He also has an activated ability for 3 generic and 1 of each Wooburg mana, giving other creatures you control +X until end of turn, where X is the number of towns you control. But none of that is important. All that matters in the Wandering Minstrel's text box is a single line of text at the top. Lands you control enter untapped. Essentially, Wandering Minstrel is a creature version of the card Spelunking, which has become a 4 of in the latest builds of Amulet Titan. Spelunking works similarly to Amulet of Vigor in that it allows you to tap bounce lands for mana the turn they enter. More importantly these days, a single Spelunking, Amulet of Vigor, or now Wandering Minstrel in play, allows you to generate infinite mana by looping Aftermath Analyst, shifting Woodland, and I guess Lotus Fields? Alright, honestly, I would need a team of Tolarian scientists and quite a few flowcharts to properly explain how the loop works. The combo kill in Amulet has never been more complicated than it is these days, and I'd recommend any Magic the Gathering player who doesn't already understand how Amulet Titan kills people to just accept your fate in ignorance and move on to the next game. All you need to know about Amulet's current kill condition is that you only need 1 Amulet effect in play, and now, for the first time ever, Amulet Titan players have an Amulet effect that is tutorable off of Summoner's Pact and Green Sun Zenith. Mind you, I don't know how many copies of Wandering Minstrel they will play. The effect is weaker than Spelunking since you don't get the bonus land. But even a single copy of Wandering Minstrel gives Amulet Titan upwards of 9 additional Amulet of Vigors. 1 off Minstrel, 4 off Green Suns, and up to 4 more off Summoner's Pact. That's also not counting Tolaria West's Transmute ability as additional copies of the card. Suffice it to say, Modern's most ridiculous consistent combo deck just got even more ridiculous and consistent. Yay! But our next card is even more reliable, even more powerful, and so much so that it's even more expensive, currently pre-ordering for nearly $100 on the secondary market. Don't pay that. Don't pay that, but do look at this. Next, I want to talk about an exciting new card, Vivy Ornithopter. Wait, no, not Ornithopter, Orniter. A 3-mana 0/3 Izzet wizard with a pair of abilities that work exceptionally well together. Anytime you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Vivy and deal your opponent 1 damage. Nice. And for 0 mana, yeah, I think I can afford that, add any combination of blue and red mana equal to Vivy's power. Activate this ability only on your turn and only once per turn. Vivy is poised to make waves in multiple formats, but in my opinion, its best possible home is in Modern. There are just so many busted things you can do with Vivy in Modern. First of all, his 3 mana cost makes him a juicy target for Unearth. With last winter's Faithless Looting unban, a Storm Shell that puts Vivy in the bin to be reanimated for 1 mana seems like it could be viable. With enough spells in your hand, unearthing Vivy turns into a Dark Ritual, or even better, spending 1 mana to then generate 3, 4, 5 mana on the very first turn he enters. You can speed up the process of killing your opponent by giving Vivy haste and additional power with pump spells like Reckless Charge. His trigger adds a power and pings your opponent, then the charge gives it +3/+0, bringing it up to 4. You can then cash in Vivy's ability to make 4 mana if you'd like, or if you have any 0 mana spells like Mishra's Bauble, you can cast those first to boost both his power and your mana production. From there, you're not far off from just killing your opponent. Use Vivy for mana, then cast a flurry of red and blue spells that ends in a grape shot and a big attack. Because each Vivy trigger also pings your opponent, it's very easy to grape shot them down to 0 life with him in play, especially if Vivy can get an attack in on his own. Even outside of a combo build, Vivy has potential. He's a legend to turn on Mox Amber and a wizard to turn on Flame of Anor. Between Vivy, Tameo, and Emry, and the suite of 12 0-mana spells like Mox Opal, Mox Amber, and Mishra's Bauble, triggering Vivy a bunch and generating a ton of mana is trivial to do. I don't know where exactly Vivy will find a home in Modern, but this is a fundamentally broken card with a lot of potential in Magic's most popular constructed format. But Modern isn't the only non-rotating format to feel the effects of Final Fantasy. Moving on to Pioneer, which recently came to Magic Arena, see my video on that subject here, we've got one of the most powerful Blood Artist effects of all time. Yes, even more powerful than Vein Ripper, which is certainly a tough act to follow. What card am I talking about? Well, Sepharoth, Fabled Soldier, is a legendary 3/3 human avatar soldier for 2 generic and a black mana. Whenever Sepharoth enters the battlefield or attacks, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, draw a card. Also, whenever any creature dies, yours or your opponent's, target opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Then, if this is the 4th time his ability has resolved this turn, transform him into Sepharoth, one-winged angel. What does Sepharoth's angelic form do? Well, first of all, it's a 5/5 Nightmare Avatar Angel with flying. Second of all, it makes an emblem on entry that's the same Blood Artist style trigger as its front side had. But because it's an emblem, the effect sticks around even if Sepharoth dies. Finally, whenever Sepharoth attacks, you may sack any number of creatures to draw that many cards. Oh boy. Okay, there's a lot to process with this card. The front side alone is a powerful effect, especially because the Titan style enters and attacks trigger can draw you a card immediately on entry. That means you get some value right away, even if your opponent has a removal spell for your Sepharoth before you can untap. The ability to flip Sepharoth is also significant, as the 5/5 Angel ends the game quickly between the massive card draw and pile of Blood Artist triggers. Pioneer Sacrifice has been a deck that existed off and on throughout Pioneer's history. Currently, the most played version of the deck is a Jund variant that can combo kill with Igra, Eater of All, and a pair of Cauldron Familiars, one of which is in your graveyard. Now, the deck's main board is pretty tight. It's hard to imagine Sepharoth fitting in here, but Sepharoth is the kind of powerful card that warrants building around in his own right. I believe Sepharoth would best shine in an all-in sacrifice deck that's capable of sacrificing a bunch of creatures all at once. In this kind of deck, Sepharoth's value engine would provide you with a sort of backup plan when you're not one-shotting your opponent. Then, when you are ready to kill, he's got you covered there with his Blood Artist trigger. Now, if I were an obsessive brewer, I would be putting together an Abzan Aristocrats deck that fills its yard with Stitcher Supplier, Satyr Wayfinder, and Town Greeter, then kills with either a big Rally the Ancestors or Raise the Past. But that's just my suggestion. Sepharoth is a strong enough card that you could build around him in a number of different ways. But what is the most powerful new card from Final Fantasy for Pioneer? Well, it just so happens to be one of the most famous characters in the entire Final Fantasy franchise, and if you go by pre-order prices, which you shouldn't go by and you should never ever pay, one of the most expensive. Don't pay it, but I bet you can guess who I'm talking about. Yeah, you know who this is. It's Cloud, Midgar Mercenary, a 2/1 legendary human soldier mercenary for 2 white mana. When he enters play, search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, then put it into your hand. If that ability sounds familiar, that's because it's literally what Stoneforge Mystic does, one of Magic's most iconic creatures in its own right. Unlike Stoneforge's second ability, though, Cloud's second ability reads, as long as Cloud is equipped, if an ability of Cloud or an equipment attached to it triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. In the Pioneer Hammer Time deck, the first ability is what really matters for Cloud. The Pioneer Hammer deck is capable of a turn 2 kill. All you need is a turn 1 Vivy Ornithopter. No, wait, you need a real Ornithopter Ornithopter here. Turn 1 Ornithopter, nice. As well as a turn 1 Sigarda's Aid. Turn 2, you play your second land, then flash in 2 Colossus Hammers during combat. Alternatively, you can play a Cacophony Scamp on turn 1, then on turn 2, play Sigarda's Aid and a Colossus Hammer. Hit for 10, then sacrifice your Scamp to deal another 10 to your opponent. Both of these combos are very fragile and, more importantly, hard to make come together with only 4 copies of Colossus Hammer and 4 copies of Sigarda's Aid. Pioneer Hammer had a few bad ways of tutoring for a hammer, such as Fighter Class or Open the Armory, but these are clunky cards that don't provide much utility besides grabbing the namesake card in the deck. Cloud does for Pioneer Hammer what Stoneforge does for Modern Hammer. It fetches up a Colossus Hammer while also providing a body for said hammer to attach to. This is a massive improvement over the previous options. The inclusion of Cloud in the deck also means the ability to assemble a toolbox of other equipment, such as Sword of Forge and Frontier in more grindy games. Sword of Forge and Frontier, by the way, triggers twice on hit if it's equipped to Cloud. Just saying. We are inching closer and closer to a Pioneer viable hammer deck. Hammer time. Now, whether or not Cloud crosses us over that threshold now is an open question, but whenever Pioneer Hammer does become powerful enough to compete in Pioneer, Cloud Midgar Mercenary will be the best card in that deck. But that, of course, is just my list, and now I want to hear from you. Which cards from Final Fantasy do you think will be best in Modern and Pioneer? Are there any other cards you like for other non-rotating formats, like Pauper or Legacy, that you'd like me to talk about? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, Final Fantasy pre-release is upon us. You can check out my complete guide to Final Fantasy pre-release here, as well as watch me play Final Fantasy pre-release on the newest episode of Shuffle Up and Play. Those videos are linked in this video's description. And whether you are building for Pioneer or Modern, buying singles or buying packs, when it is possible and when it is reasonable to do, try and spend that money where you spend time playing this great game, like playing pre-release, and that is at your local game store. You're supporting your Magic community when you do. Oh, and of course, whoa! Thanks again to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. Right now you can go to magicspoon.com/Tolarian or use my code Tolarian to get $5 off your order of Magic Spoon. You can also find Magic Spoon on Amazon or at your nearest grocery store. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for all the delicious, delicious food. What's up? It's Magic with Boomers, elderly boomers. Today, each of us was told to build Boomer Commander deck, and we don't know what anyone did.
I have a prize card. Whoever wins this will win the prize.
High stakes.
I would have built a different deck!
Let's team up against them. Take these kids to school.
That's right.
But Spice is good at Magic and you're not.
Flame Tongue Kavu. Oh, good old fashioned.
There we go. Illusory terrain.
I'm playing Omnath, and I only have access to blue mana.
Commander is supposed to be about having fun with your friends.
I'm having fun! Are you not having fun?
It's like a 7-tiered nacho dip. That's how I build my decks.
Maybe don't be so antagonistic all the time.
I feel like I'm too young for this pod.
Gosh.
I don't get these